And so I thought I was dying. And so I signed myself out and I said, if I'm going to die, I want to die at home. And so I put like an X, my husband helped me, and I had driven myself there. My husband had to wheel me out in a wheelchair. And I went home and I wrote my will and I waited for death. And the phone rings. Congratulations, you got the part. And my husband looks at me and he's like, puts his hand over the phone and he's like, you got to tell him you can't take it. Like, there's no way. We don't even know if you're going to be alive next week. And I whispered, you call him if I'm dead.
What do you do when the thing you built your whole life around, your voice, your purpose, your identity, is suddenly taken from you? Today's guest knows that question from the inside. Adassa is an Oscar, Grammy, and Golden Globe recipient, platinum-selling artist, and the voice millions fell in love with as Dolores Madrigal in Disney's Encanto. But before the Oscar stage, before the We Don't Talk About Bruno that topped the Billboard charts, before the sold-out arenas, she was from a Colombian immigrant household. She was carrying 3 generations of dreams on her shoulders. She's a young woman who fell in love and became a mother of 7, stepped away from the spotlight to be fully present for bedtime stories and family prayers. And then there was COVID, which left Adassa paralyzed from the neck down, unable to speak, unable to sing, unable to care for herself and her family. But in the stillness of that season, something shifted. And she came out with more than a comeback. She came out with a testimony. Adassa's new memoir, Love Keeps Showing Up, is a real story of her life. It's about the grit, divine timing, the immigrant sacrifice, the faith that holds you even when your body won't, about the love that kept showing up when she had nothing left to offer in return. I am so honored to have Adassa on Elevating Good today. This is a conversation about what it means to carry other people's dreams, your own identity, faith, and to refuse, even in the hardest seasons, to give up on people. Adassa, welcome to Elevating Good podcast. So good to have you.
So happy to be with you, Marinica. This is a wonderful moment. Coming from an immigrant family, I never dreamt this far up. I never thought this could happen. And it took a lot to get here, but at the same time, it was mainly paved with miracles.
Wow. So you grew up in an Afro-Latino family. A lot of our listeners, to be honest, don't know about the culture. And I would just love to hear you describe what it was like for you growing up.
Growing up, there was a lot of food and a lot of music. So my family is Colombian. So my blood is 100% Colombian. My dad is from Cartagena, Colombia, from a small town called Macayepo. And my mother is from Barranquilla, Colombia. So there was arepas, there was champeta, cumbias, vallenatos in the house, lots of color, lots of just singing and dancing and music. And I grew up in a household where my mom and my father were both holistic doctors. And we used to sing at church. So I started singing at church when I was 4 years old. And I knew when I stepped on that stage, seeing people, their eyes light up and feeling just compelled to go towards the light, it motivated me. I'm like, I want to bring that to people. I want to bring hope. I want to see that light. And so at 4 or 5 years old, I was like, that's it. I want to be a singer. And I got the opportunity to just be on those stages at churches while my mom played the guitar, my dad would preach. But when I saw The Little Mermaid at 9 years old, I wanted to be part of that world. I wanted to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, walking around on those, oh yeah, what do you call them? Feet. I totally wanted to be up where they walk, up where they run. And but it took a little while for me to get there because I was in school and I thought, okay, tangible goals. I want to go to Stetson University. I was living in Florida, and I'm like, I want to go there and I want to be an extra at Disney. I wanted to be a greeter. Like when you walk in, I wanted to be that person to say, hello, welcome to Disney. The parade starts at 3 o'clock. Make sure to grab a seat and have a magical day. That was me.
Wow. And I know that you from a family of people who were aspiring singers. So your mom and your grandmother. Can you tell me a little bit about that background?
So my grandmother wanted to be a singer, but she came from a very humble family. And so she decided to go and serve people instead of through her voice, through her hands as a nurse. And so that's what she decided to take care of people. And she did all her life. And she was so warm and beautiful. She reminds me so much of Julieta that could heal through food,
Mm.
but except it was through her hands. And my mother wanted to be a singer as well. And she got as far as having one song on the radio in Barranquilla, Colombia with her grupo Mar Azul, and she would play the guitar and her friends would sing. And then when it came to me, I didn't at all like think that my family like wanted that for me. To the contrary, they were
Yeah.
like, okay, we think the medical field, that's a safe place for you to be where you can provide for your family. And I was like, no, I'm going to take it all the way. So I felt like I needed to carry that torch for my grandmother and my
Yes.
mother. And I did. I ran with it. And so as I started moving through my journey in music, my brother, which was also a rapper, he was putting together a group. Mind you, I didn't know that my future husband was involved in that project. I just knew him as the producer. And so my brother told me, hey, work on this song and then I'm going to propose it. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't even know what it was for. I didn't know it was like a girl group. And so I wrote this song, Dedícame tiempo. Oh, which is called Dedícame Tiempo, dedicate time to me. And so he took the song, and my now husband had told him, I do not want family involved in this group. I want it to be really professional because, having family involved can get really messy. And so he's like, yeah. And so he shows this demo to him, and my now husband, as the producer, he listens to it. He's like, I love this girl's voice. Who is she? And he's like, my sister. So then he was like, oh, okay, fine. So that was my very first record deal that I had at 17. And then we ended up just clicking, and our journey began from there. And then I decided I wanted to be a solo singer. And I
Yeah.
decided that's it. I want to pursue this and I want to write my own songs and tell my own story. And then I got signed to my very first record deal after that. And so after that moment, we were just touring, and I did songs with Pitbull and Flo Rida and Snoop, and traveled the world, Sierra, Missy Elliott, so much. And then after that, I was like, okay, it's time to have more babies. And we had two kids at that point. I was a mom, Latin mama for one, and I had had one child, and then I knew it was like, okay, it's time to hang up the hat and let's bring in some kids, some more kids into our life.
Oh, that's beautiful. And what would you say is something you would most want people to understand about who you were before the fame, before people knew your voice? What is it about you that you want people most to know about that season in your life?
I'm just a regular person. I am just a regular person who had big dreams. Sometimes we think that it takes something extraordinary for you to pursue what you love. And the reality is, you just need to be good at what you do. And that's one thing that I always strive to be, do the best that I can with my talent. But at the same time, because I was in the pursuit of like, I want to be the best, I didn't walk the path of standing beside my principles. So if I could talk to my own younger self, I would be like, you know what, slow down, follow the path that leads back to Christ and walk it, even though it's
Yeah.
hard. And I just wanted to win. And so I would look at my competition and like, just like anything, when you're getting into something, you're like, I want to compete and I want to be the best. So you study the best and then
Yeah.
you match them or beat them. And now in my career, what I want to do is say something of substance. I want to influence people towards good. And if one person
Yeah.
hears it, then that's the person that needs to hear it. And I'm not out for the masses. I'm here to be able to just share hope and joy. And so if anybody that's going into this industry believing, well, I can make it, well, what does making it look for you? Like, what is it that
Yeah.
you're expecting? Are you expecting the glory of the people? You might lose your soul in the pursuit of that. But if you want to tell a story, if you really want to put yourself out there because you have something to say, you want to share with the world, then be true to yourself and know that you're doing the right thing, regardless if 5 or 5 million people are listening.
Wow, that's amazing drop of wisdom right there. Oh my gosh, just drop the mic right there. That is so much packed into what you just said. Um, because I was getting to the point, I was about to ask you, how did you get to the point where you got this invitation from Disney? Because I have a neighbor's daughter, and this is a shout out to you, Nisa. I know you're going to be listening, who is a rising star. She is just an amazing artist. She's into drama, music, loves to perform, and she wants to work with Disney. So it just so happens as I'm about to interview you. So to get that call, and if you were speaking to her today, how would you explain that? And then what happened after that?
I would say always be ready. If you want an opportunity, put yourself out there in the free forms that we have available in technology today. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, just put your talent out there. Because if you're good, but you're not like giving a person a door to like open, like, hey, there you are. I found you. Like, then how are you expect somebody to just walk in and be like, hey, I heard there's somebody who's really talented that lives at this address, so I thought I'd knock your door. That's not how it works. I would say always be ready. For me, after having my career in music and sometimes even, I mean, I would say it was difficult being a Latina in that music industry of reggaeton and hip hop. I was the second woman to be signed to a major record deal in English and in Spanish after Celia Cruz being a dark skinned Latina. So it was a big responsibility. And I wanted to show other girls you could do it too, but it was an uphill climb. I had to literally dig trenches to be able to make my mark in the industry. And so when I stepped away, I always kept myself ready because no matter if I was having a baby, because we went from 2 kids to 7 kids during that time that I took, a break and I thought I was retired. I always kept my voice in shape. I always kept my body in shape, and I always checked myself like, okay, where am I? And so after our sixth baby, my husband's like, let's go to Miami. Let's have a little vacation. Let's take a couple of days break and then we'll come back. But we took a little setup with us, like a little camera, a microphone, because you never know when you get inspired. So in the morning where we were going to have tacos, because he promised me tacos, he said, you know what? The light's coming in through the window so nicely. Why don't we shoot a video for that song we just did? And the
Yeah.
song was called Porque ella y no yo. Háblame claro, dime por qué acabó. Lo de nosotros fue más de una noche de simple pasión. And I had like really explored that little like soft, sultry side of my voice. And I was like, okay, great. Just one shot, and then I'm getting my tacos. And so he shoots the video. We upload it to our YouTube channel. I totally forget about it. Weeks later, I'm upgrading my phone because I dropped it during that trip. I have to input all the passwords. Like whenever you have to start over, you're like, oh, what
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Forgot what it was back in 19 something. And so I input that passwords and I make a new
Yeah.
one. And I start getting hundreds of emails. And at the top of that email was, we'd like to get a hold of Adassa for an opportunity. And so I reply like I'm my own assistant. And I'm like, hello, this is Naomi. You can reach Gabriel Candiani at this email and number. Thank you for your interest.
Yes.
And so I go about my business. I'm like doing dishes. I'm at the kitchen. Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I hear my husband go, hey, get downstairs to the studio. It's Disney. And I was like, what? Like I had put a pin in that dream since I was young and I had completely forgotten about it. And lo and behold, it was Disney. And so I did not have an acting agent or voiceover agent or company. I was just going solo and just letting the universe open its doors. And so that's the way they got a hold of me and they asked me to audition. But it didn't stop there. We had 24 hours to turn over this audition. So I sang
Wow.
By Myself by Celine Dion in English and in Spanish. I read the words that they wanted me to read, and then we send it in. And then we're waiting for like a reply because it said, in case of emergencies only, call this number. And so,
Yeah.
10 hours, 15 hours, about the 20-hour mark, my husband's like, we need to call. Like, we need to call. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you don't call him. If you don't hear back, it's because you didn't get it. We all know it. Like, oh. And he's like, no, I'm calling. And so he
Yeah.
called it. And Grace Kim, which was the assistant to the
Yeah.
casting director, Jamie Sparrow Roberts, answers the phone. And she goes, hello. And my husband's like, oh, hi, this is Gabriel Candiani. Adassa just sent in her audition. We were just, calling in to make sure you received it. And there's no noise. Like it went silent. And she goes, what audition? And we were like, oh, like I literally, like my heart just sank. Like it just like, oh. And so He's like, maybe it went into spam or something. And so she checks the spam folder and she's like, oh, yes. And we start laughing. And she's like, okay, because you're not whitelisted through Disney, we'll make sure to
Yeah.
check. And so from now on, let's just communicate this way. And we're like, okay, okay. So if it wasn't for my husband, we would not be having this conversation because I am
Wow.
such a chicken when it comes to like being forward and driving, But I never
Yeah, yeah.
like whenever it's time to do something, I don't quit, but it's scary, like the first jump, like when you're jumping into
Yeah.
a pool.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So
Totally.
what I would say to her is always be ready because I had taken
Yeah.
years off. I had had all my babies, by then we were in it. We had 7 kids, but I was always keeping my talent where it needed to be. And we were always posting,
Mm,
regardless if anybody was watching or not. I was always
yeah.
making sure I put something out there. So when the opportunity made itself available, I was ready
Yeah.
to walk through that door. So I would say, yes, always be ready.
Okay. Oh, that's excellent advice. So tell me a little bit about what just curious about Encanto. I so many people want to know, and I want to know, Dolores, the fact that this family was from Colombia. I mean, what are the odds of that? Um, Tell me, like, let's start from the beginning. What did it mean to you to be part of this movie that was so intertwined with your own history, your own family, your own heritage? Like, what did that mean to you?
It was such an honor to be a part of the cast. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I had the opportunity to audition. And then it came my
Yeah.
callback. But to be considered, one, it's like, wow, I wonder who else is going to be a part of this. And two, is as a Colombiana and knowing how hard Latinos have fought to be able to just have the mic, to know that I could be one of those people to hold the mic at that level, because Disney gives you so much visibility around the world, but also working with a company that I had fallen in love from He's a Tramp and I Love Him, or When You Wish Upon a Star, makes no difference who you are. I grew up with that music, and to know that I'm like,
Yes.
I have the potential, the possibility of working with this, it was amazing. And so when we got the call back, my husband was with one of his clients and giving a class. He has a production music master class and
Uh-huh.
teaching producers how to work and do music for film and TV. And so
Yeah.
we get the ping, it comes up on the screen like call back. And I start freaking out. I'm like just yelling and like screaming. And his client, her name was Alyssa. She was like, "What's
Uh-huh.
going on? I'm excited too." But I'm like, we couldn't say anything because you're not allowed to. And so
Oh,
we got the call back, and then I got to meet with Jared Bush, Byron Howard, Yvette Merino, and the casting director,
wow.
Jamie Sparrow Roberts herself. It was like I was on cloud nine. I was on cloud nine.
Wow.
The only thing I could think of was I need to tell them about my family's story. I need to tell them about my dad, how he lost his father when he was young, and by 9 years old, he
Yeah.
was selling arepas door to door. I need to tell them about my grandfather. He was illiterate, and yet he built churches in Barranquilla. I need to tell them about my mother. I need to tell them about my grandmother. So when they came on screen, I was just like, "Hi, I would like to tell you about my grandma." And I just started going off and showing pictures. And then they were like, after all of that, they were like, "Okay, so you're going to sing for us?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." It was an audition.
Oh, that's fantastic. And the character Dolores is such a fascinating character. Tell me how you found commonality with her and what was it like playing Dolores?
The commonality came from the day after the audition.
Okay.
So I had been feeling a little queasy and I thought it was like nerves or maybe I was pregnant. And so with our second, I had taken all the pregnancy tests, the at-home tests, and they all came out negative. And then I ended up going to the hospital, well, going to a doctor, and they tested me. And on April Fools, they called me back and went, "Oh, congratulations, you are pregnant." And I was like, "Wait, April Fools?" And they're like, "Nope, it's for real."
That's
So I
real.
went after literally the day after my audition. I went to the store, got a whole bunch of pregnancy tests, They came out negative. So I told my husband, hey, I'm going to go to the hospital real quick. I'm going to get
Mhm.
tested just to make sure, because I'm feeling queasy. I'm feeling dizzy. I'm not sure if it's nerves or whatever, but it's just getting progressively worse. And he's like, okay, I'll come with you. And I'm like, just stay with the kids. And so he stayed home with the kids and I drove myself to the hospital. Now,
Mhm.
my family and I had had COVID a few weeks prior to that. And so we were like getting over it, but we were all feeling better. So I didn't
Mhm.
think about it. But when I got there, I told them my symptoms. They gave me something for the dizziness and the nausea. And then within 30 minutes, like I couldn't feel my feet and I couldn't feel my legs. Then my arms started shutting
Wow.
down and I started getting paralyzed. Then I started not being able to speak. So I was stuttering. I was like, when the day before I had done the audition of a lifetime and I was rapping, so this is what it feels like to match wits with someone at your level. What the hell is a catch? It's the feeling of freedom of seeing the light. It's been fractured with the key and the kite. You see it, right? I was doing, Hamilton. And then I couldn't even say my name. So I like before my hands went to full paralysis, I dialed my husband and I just was like, and I couldn't say anything. And he's like, what's wrong? And he's like, I'm coming right now. And so he drives. We're about 10 minutes from the hospital. They won't let him in because it's still COVID restrictions. And so they start running tests and MRIs, CT scan, blood work, everything. And then they told me, we don't know what's going on. And so I thought I was dying. And so I signed myself out and I said, if I'm going to die, I want to die at home. And so I put like an X, my husband helped me, and I had driven myself there. My husband had to wheel me out in a wheelchair. And I went home and I wrote my will and I waited for death.
Gosh. Wow.
So
What a
where did her
start.
voice, where did her voice come from? All of those weeks that I spent not knowing whether I was going to live or die. There were moments where I would just stare up at the ceiling and go, why is this happening to me? Why? Like I've been reading my scriptures. I've been, I was teaching the kids because I'm a homeschooling parent. And I was like, I'm
Mhm.
doing all of the things. I'm like, I'm trying to check off each box. I'm like, what didn't I do? Did I not separate my recyclables? Like you're going through the list of every possibility of why is this happening? So one day when
Yeah.
I was so tired, I was so tired, I was exhausted from all the paralysis because I couldn't walk or talk at the same time. And so everything had to be in whispers. I had to whisper to my family, thank you so much,
Mhm.
helping me. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing me water. I love you. So everything was whispers, and I had to stay really, really still whenever I spoke to my family. And so one of those days, I told my husband, I'm feeling so spent. I just want to take a bath. I just want to forget everything. And so he's like, I can sit with you. And I'm like, I know, I'm feeling okay. And so I get up, I get in the tub starts rising. And then all of a sudden I started feeling I was getting paralyzed. And so I tried to yell and it was nothing. And the
Oh
water
my
kept rising and
gosh.
I started slipping and slipping and I couldn't hold on anything because my body was completely limp. I was just literally dripping and dripping down and I couldn't say anything. And I thought, I'm going to die in this bath. And I closed my eyes and as the water rose over my nose, I was just like, I'm going to let go. I'm just going to let go. There's nothing else I can do. And my husband walks in like Superman, opens the curtain, takes me out
Oh,
of the
praise
bath.
God.
I am wet, naked, and he places me on the bed. And I start crying and just like, and I just start crying because I felt like I'm useless. What good am I now? I can't do anything. I couldn't even save myself from drowning.
Mhm.
Like, what good am I? And so I just I just looked up and as he went to get me some tea, I just cried and I said, Lord, why is this happening? Please let me know why. And then I understood I was asking the wrong question. I needed to ask, what? What lesson haven't I learned that I need to learn through this experience? And if this cup shall ever pass, please allow me to understand what it is that I'm not doing so that I can change. And as that started resonating in my head, I started understanding that my worth and my value wasn't in what I could do. It was just simply existing. So my husband's like, if you can't walk, if you can't talk, I'll learn to read your lips. If you can't walk, I'll do things for you. Like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And so we went through that day. And every night I would look up and I would think, is this the last day? Because then the paralysis would happen. I could barely breathe, just like So I thought if I get paralyzed when I'm sleeping, I'll just die and I won't even know. And so I started making amends with my family, calling my friends and calling my mother, my father, everyone, every day. That was just like, how can I use these hours that I'm alive to let people know that I love them and then I'm so grateful for them. And so during those days that it was off and on, and some days I could walk a little more, some days I could talk a little more, some days I could do a little more, some days I could do a little less. I was laying down, my head was on my husband's lap, and the phone rings. Congratulations! You got the part. It was Jamie Sparrow Roberts herself. And my husband looks at me and he's like, puts his hand over the phone and he's like, you got to tell him you can't take it. Like, there's no way. We don't even know if you're going to be alive next week. And I whispered, you call him. If I'm dead, I
It
take.
sounds like The Godfather.
I'm serious. That was all I could do. And so he's
Wow.
like, get it together because we're going to have to, you know. And so he starts negotiating with Jamie and, okay, so where's
Yeah.
she going to record? They're like, well, because of COVID restrictions, we're all going to have to record wherever we are. So we're like, okay, great. So we can be here in Nashville. And he's like, yeah, so we live here in Tennessee. And so they negotiate everything. And at one point, she's like, okay, so can I talk to Adassa and congratulate her? He's like, good question. So he puts the phone and I just take the deepest breath I've ever taken in my life. And I'm like, thank you so much. When do I start? Literally, that's all I could say. Thank you so much. When do I start? And I almost hit the floor and they're like 3 weeks. And so for 3 weeks, it was like training, like Rocky in slow motion. Like I'm going to make it from here to the door and from the door to the next. And then it was miraculous. Morenica, I'm telling you, 3 weeks later, I was recording. But the greatest thing was to understand there was a purpose in the trial because when I was with them recording and I was trying to
Yeah.
see, you know what, where's the voice for Dolores? Because I made this miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we were hoping that Dolores could be more of a soft-spoken character. Do you want to try some things like that? And I was like, I know
Wow.
where that lives. I've been living here. That's all I've been able to do this whole time. And so that's where the only one worried about the magic is you and the rats talking in the walls. Oh, and Luisa, I heard her eye twitching all night. That's where she came from. It was from those
Wow.
where I had nothing left. That was it. I just had the whisper, and that whisper became Dolores's voice.
Amazing. So I know your faith has become central because of that experience in your life. It was there before, but it's become as centered. What is it that shifted between faith and your art? Because it was there before, but maybe not as present. Now, how does your faith impact your decisions? Like you talked about making choices about what elevates your values before you pick it. How are some other ways like that your faith might impact your artistry now from this other side of your life?
Well, when I started in the business of music, I wanted to win because I went in there like to compete. You look at your competition, you match them or you beat them. That's what I always thought. And so when I went into music, I thought I want to do just, I want to be the best. And so I want to do what she's doing. I want to beat what she's doing. And so my principles didn't quite align with the image and the music that I was making, the lyrics that I was saying, but I was going full heartedly. The way that it's impacted me now is that I am very careful about the message that I want to give. So I'm very, very careful. What is it that I'm trying to say? What kind of feeling am I trying to convey? I'm not trying to compete. I'm trying to say something of value. And I want to follow the path that will lead me back to my Heavenly Father. That's it. And so I got a lot more ballsy because I was one of those people that are like, do you lead, follow, or get out the way? I was like, I'll get out the way. Bye. See you next week. Okay, I'll be over here. Far away. Like, what's your opinion on this and that? I'm like, whatever opinion you'd like it to be. What's popular today? Like, I didn't stand up for what I believed because I was so scared of being blacklisted, of being forgotten, of being told, oh, so if you believe that, you can't hang out with me because if you don't have the same feelings or the same mind or choices that I have, then you're just against me. And it's like, no, we can all have our opinions. We can all stand for something. It doesn't mean we can't be friends. And I was so scared about standing up for myself and for what my beliefs were and for my principles. And so, what kind of an example am I setting for my children when I don't stand for something? Because if I stand for something, then anything will take me down. So after this experience, number one, I know who saved my life, and I believe that it was God, and He saved me for a purpose. And so I am in the pursuit for the rest of my life of fulfilling that purpose.
That's amazing. And I love how your family, your church, your husband all created this space for you to be loved and to belong in the middle of this trial and this season of shifting for you. You're all about that on Elevating Good podcast is recognizing that when we belong, like what environment that creates for us to flourish, right? And just, I love that you describe your husband as a superhero, and how he came and saved you, and then your children and what impact. Talk a little bit about your children and what it has meant to have them in your life, as a woman of faith, as a mom, just as a person, like what it has meant to you.
When you're young, you don't understand how much time you have. And when you're a mom, you feel like you need all the time you can get to be able to accomplish so many things. And with my children, I've become a lot more efficient because I know the kind of time I want to dedicate to them and the kind of experiences that I want for us to remember together as a family. And that's what I try to strive to do and to make is meaningful moments with them. And so I'm very deliberate on that. And I know that words matter. And so I'm very careful, a lot more careful with my words now. As a young mother, I didn't understand the impact of really feeling your feelings with your children and how that is a necessary thing. As an immigrant daughter, I always felt like, well, come on, we got to toughen up because we got to go out there. We got
Yeah.
to, you know what I mean? So you fell. That's it. You don't cry, and I was a lot of that behavior. Vulnerability was like dangerous to me. It's like, number one, it takes away your time. And number two, we don't cry, we fight, and with my
Yeah.
children, as I've grown as a person, I understood it's necessary to let your feelings out. It's okay to cry. To the contrary, it allows you to express the emotions in a physical form that are invisible, but they're frustrating. And if they build up, that you will boil until you're done. And so I've learned that with my kids. And it's very important to be able to know who you are so that you can help champion them into a better future. So I support them, I support their journeys, but I also understand that my decisions are mine and my principles are mine. And I show that to my children. This is what has brought me joy. This is who I am and what I feel brings me the most light. Here's your example for that. Now you follow your heart and you follow what you think is right for you. But I'm hoping they'll follow the path that we have, been walking. And so my husband and I just try our best to do the best that we can to be good examples. But we're not perfect by any means. And that's what we put in the book because sometimes we
Yeah.
feel held captive by our past,
Yeah.
by our skeletons. And we don't want people to know that we're not perfect. But I decided, no, that's something that I feel that the negative forces of this universe, call it, I don't know, the adversary, call it just yin and yang, sometimes keeps you from becoming the most rooted version of yourself and doing the most good is because you're scared of your past. You're afraid of those shadows and those ghosts that you've kept hidden away. And I put it in the book, and I don't consider myself the best mother in the world. I know that I've made mistakes. I used to drop my kid off at a 24-hour daycare so I can go and hit the stage because my husband and I are musicians and that's what we do, and we love it. And we just couldn't stop ourselves from doing it. But we also had this kid. And so our children have taken some of the hit of our decisions. And I own that. But at the same time, I go, well, this is the path that I decided to live. And unfortunately, I got to live with the good and the bad. But I think for
Mm.
anybody out there that loves to be creative, just know this is not going to be an easy path. And if you can do absolutely anything, listen to me right now. If you can do anything else, do that because it'll be so much better for you. But if this is what you love to do, then don't let
Mm.
anything stop you. What is really making it? What is success? If success is standing on that stage and replacing your 9 to 5 income with that, you know, gig that you get or that event that you got to do or stepping on that stage and taking that acting gig, if that's just enough to replace your 9 to 5, then you're a success. You don't need to be the next Jennifer Lopez or you don't need to be the next Matthew McConaughey to know I did it. I made it, you know? So be tangible in your goals and know that if you are walking those steps, you can also be blessed. But I don't think that you should feel like, oh, if he didn't give it to me, or if God didn't happen, give it to me, or if this didn't happen, and I'm angry. It's like, no, you got to live an experience that very few people get to live.
Wow, that is so. Keep saying you are a preacher. You just have so much wisdom to share. I mean, in that somewhere there's a preacher, there's a prophetic voice in you there. I can hear it. Um, I also the question about like, so what do you want people who are reading your book to know? What do you want them to walk away with from reading Love Keeps Showing Up?
Recognize what love looks like. Sometimes that's a neighbor coming over with a warm meal. Sometimes it's somebody sending you a text and say, hang in there. Sometimes it's your next door neighbor saying, hey, I'll watch the kids. Why don't you guys go out for a movie? Or it can be the simple fact of your kids give you that extra hour of sleep, on a Sunday morning before you go to church, and you're like, it's so quiet in here. Wow. Like, learn to accept the love of others. One thing that I learned through my journey was that I needed to understand that even though I would look up into that roof and say, why is this happening? I understood my what. My what was that I needed to recognize that people loved me even in my weakest point, that I didn't need to guard myself in the most disheveled moments in my life. To the contrary, I understood who truly was standing beside me in those moments. I embraced my community. I embraced my church group. I embraced my family to another level. And I understood that kids can actually make a sandwich. They wash their own clothes because I was so hands-on and I thought if I just do everything, it's just going to be perfect. It's going to,
Yeah,
I had to let go of perfection. Perfection does not exist. So I
yeah,
learned to be able to look at my children, help one another, and appreciate those moments where they didn't need me. I felt scared of
yeah,
being needed. Don't be afraid
yeah,
of being needed. Be joyful of being able to see that love coming at you. Take it in, accept it, embrace it.
yeah. Yeah, that's such a beautiful. Yeah, I'm a mom too, and I can just resonate with you on so many things. Being imperfect, about trying to hold your and be not be vulnerable because of maybe my past. In my case, I've different traumas in my life kind of made me put up walls, right? But learning that it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to let down your guard. It's okay to allow yourself to be loved, right?
Yes.
Just breathe that in. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. So, I would love if you would sing a few bars of Love
Yeah.
Keeps Showing Up. Is your music is in your book, right? You give us QR codes to the original songs. Would I'm first of all curious how you picked the music to put in your book, and then I would love if you would sing a few bars of some of your music, especially Love Keeps Showing Up. I love that one. The words, they resonate with me so deeply, and I believe they will with our listeners as well. So I'll leave it right there. Go ahead.
So coming from grew to live in fear, but no stuttering and stumbling. I can always hear him sort of muttering and mumbling. I associate him with the sound of falling sand. Tss, tss, tss. That song changed my life. We Don't Talk About Bruno resonated throughout the whole entire world and opened the doors for me to be able to share my testimony and be able to share my story. So never be afraid of being able to share your story. And that's what I did in Love Keeps Showing Up. And I'm testifying of those who showed up for me in the most vulnerable times of my life. And the chorus of Love Keeps Showing Up says, love keeps showing up in kindness when I need it most. Inspired words in a late night post. It's the small things that keep pulling me through. It's like they say, I'll carry you like rain from heaven filling up my cup. Love keeps showing up. And this music for this album and this book came together because my husband and I said, we want to take this project and say what we need to say, not only in the book, but also through these words. And so the music is inside of the book. When you look through the pages, every single chapter has a song and it's descriptive of a moment in my life and it goes through the journey. And it's like this hip rock country feel. And I leave it with you guys with all of my heart. And I hope you can find some strength within those words that brought me comfort. And I'm so grateful that I got to write this album with my husband. So I leave you with love keeps showing up. Thank you guys.
Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. And just, I know you had a short time today because you got to get to another event or appointment. So, but, well, I can't tell you how much this means to me. And I hope that we can have another conversation because there's so much in you. Like, I just want to pull it
Oh,
all out and hear it all.
well, you know, Marenica, I am going on a Disney cruise where we're going to be singing some of our favorite songs from Disney,
Oh my gosh.
stuff from Encanto and Coco as
Oh
well.
my
So
gosh.
let's catch up because I'm going on that cruise in September and I got to tell you
Yeah.
all about it.
Ooh, I cannot wait. Oh, that's going to be so much fun. And I have all your contact information, like how people can reach you, and
Yes.
because they're going to want to listen more to your music that's come out, read your book. And oh my gosh, I'm just so excited. Again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. And for anybody that wants to follow along on the journey, go to my
Yeah.
Instagram or my TikTok at Adassa Official, Adassa Official. And if you want to be part of the club of women that we just support one another during our journey of life of being mothers and the chaos that it is, and also support, you know, just being visible to one another, go to Visible Now Club on Instagram and TikTok and all those good things. So Visible Now Club as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Adassa. If you've ever waited for permission to be loved in your most undone moments, Adassa's story is for you. What I keep coming back to is this. She didn't find her voice in the spotlight. She found it in a whisper. And sometimes that's exactly how God and belonging work. Not in the grand gestures, but in someone walking through the door right when the water is rising up to your nose. Love Keeps Showing Up is available now. Find Adassa at Adassa Official on Instagram and TikTok, and her community of women at Visible Now Club. Links are in the show notes. Hey, before I let you go, I wanted to personally invite you to our newly launched Elevating Good community, Everyday Bridge Builders on Facebook, a space for women of faith who believe in the dignity of every human being and who are doing the daily work of living that out in their relationships, their families, and their communities. If this episode moved you, please share it with a woman who needs to hear it today. Until next time, I'm Marenica, your host. Keep growing, keep listening, keep elevating good in your own corner of the world. I'm with you on the journey.